Greetings, indie warriors. Y'all have the lovely literary rose to look forward to this week on I Dream of Indie Games Weekly. But before I send things over to my foul-mouthed friend, we want to take a moment to thank this week's sponsor, Heartcore. Were you like 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿, where one of your first introductions to anime was Akira? Well, Heartcore's upcoming release, Gripper, totally gives me the vibes of that late 80s classic. Gripper is a single-player action title where you use your bike and a nasty-looking hook to tear apart enemies and bosses alike. Learn new abilities along the way, and put the pedal to the metal because this is going to be one hell of a ride. In this destroyed world, your cyber biker will be faced with great dangers and challenges. Thankfully, you won't have to go it alone, as you'll also have a cat companion to accompany you on the journey. Carefully dodge and slide around disgusting creatures like spiders and titans, using that deadly bike hook to grab explosives and other environmental objects. This mysterious story set in a cyberpunk world should keep you hooked. See what I did there? Hooked, because this game has a hook as its weapon. Funny, right? Between the great cinematics, deep progression and customization options, and unique-looking combat, I'm definitely hooked, that's for sure. One thing I love about indie developers is that they're often willing to take creative risks, and games like Gripper are definitely not the norm, so it's nice to see something fresh, exciting, and different on the gaming market. So get a grip, everybody, and wishlist Gripper today. Still not convinced? Check out the demo of Gripper for yourself on Steam. The link is in the description box below. Now let's get on over to I Dream of Indie Games Weekly with Literary Rose. Once again, a huge thank you to our sponsor this week, Heartcore. Be sure to head over to the Steam page for Gripper and check it out today. Don't burn out. Sorry, there's only so many bike puns I can fit into one integration.
Hello, fellow gamer goblins. Literary Rose here with I Dream of Indie, and I'm eager to flood you with this episode of more indie gaming news than you could ever hope for. But before we get to the inundation, let's talk about Patreon and YouTube memberships, which are a way that you can help support our mission with this channel and bringing a spotlight to all the indies that mainstream gaming outlets don't cover. Yes, I'm reading off a script. Leave me alone. I can only stare at the camera for so long. Anyway, whether it's just a few dollars a month through a membership, a coffee donation, or just liking and leaving comments on our reviews, anything and everything will help us continue to persist in this mission we hold so dearly. And on top of that, you will make our dearest old gamer Joe's dreams a reality, as if you haven't heard, he has tossed the mop of poorly paid and underappreciated janitorial work for full-time indie gaming reviewer. It's a massive leap, but the unflagging support from y'all is what keeps us going. And besides helping indie devs and making our dreams for this channel a reality, you will get plenty of perks by being a member on YouTube or Patreon. To list a few, but these are not all, you'll get access to our exclusive Discord, which is full of the best people on this planet, ad-free and sponsor-free versions of our shows, hangouts with the staff, free keys tossed out by ourselves and our generous channel members, and a never-ending stream of pictures of dearest Wally. The best perk of all, if you ask me. Anyway, spiel over, thank you for listening, and let's dive into some indie gaming news. Alright, our first entry is Gord, an upcoming colony sim and survival strategy game from Team 17 and Covenant.dev, a Polish game studio. This is their debut game and it looks so cool! If you're a fan of dark fantasy and strategy games but with a city builder twist, keep this one on your radar because it's coming out this year. Damn you for adding more to my ever-growing wish list, but also, fuck yeah. Traverse forbidden lands laden with creatures inspired by Slavic folklore, which fellow horror fans know produces some of the best monstrous creatures and themes. Plop down buildings to build your community, fight off enemy tribes, monsters and dark powers skulking betwixt the trees, and more. And if that wasn't enough for you, you'll be managing your people's sanity, casting spells gifted by the gods, and the procedural generation scenarios will keep you on your toes. Keep an eye out for Gord. Second game on our list is puzzle platformer Midnight Arrow, that's been announced by Low Level Game Dev, and yes, that is their actual dev name. I love it. Inspired by titles like Celeste, you'll plat and form through the night, using arrows to solve puzzles and light your way through the dark. This delightful pixel art style has me questioning whether I want to finally break my platformer gaming hiatus. I'm a sucker for good visuals. With 6 expansive levels and unlockable skins, you'll have more to come back to after beating the game for the first time, besides testing your platforming skills, or in my case, lack of. Evil! Multiplayer social deduction game Evil has released new DLC, The Wolf Pack, adding pet wolves to accompany your perilous nights. For those of you who didn't watch Silent Signs and I fumble through our stream of Evil, shame on you! Just kidding, not really. Anyway, developed by Vest Games and published by Versus Evil, this game combines mechanics of party games like Werewolves, Among Us, and Town of Salem, thrusting you into a beautifully designed medieval fantasy world. Play as a villager or conspirator, and either save the people or tear them to shreds by murdering your way through the town. Use unique abilities in each role within villager or conspirator, talk your way out of execution, place traps or wards, and meddle with the living even in death. Now, for those of you who follow my shenanigans on stream, you'll know I love me a good dating sim. Eternights, might be pronouncing that wrong, maybe it's Eternights, but that sounds kind of done, so I'm saying Eternights. Although it sounds like nights that we eat, whatever. Eternights brings us dating sim fun plus hack and slash gameplay, and it's all wrapped up in a beautiful anime art style that fulfills my teenage fantasies. Developed and published by Studio Sai as their first title, fight and flirt your way through a post-apocalyptic world where humans have been transformed into monsters, and you fight to find a cure for yourselves and your loved ones. The use of plural loved ones has me excited to see if I can romance more than one person at a time. Prepare to dungeon crawl, collect loot, dodge nefarious traps, solve puzzles, and dance! The more I learn about this game, the more desperate I am to review it. Review or not, I plan on trying out this game, and you should try it out as well, once it's available. On to number 5. If you're coming off of a Choo-Choo Charles high, there's another vehicular survival game on the horizon, with a less obvious horror bent, but plenty of supernatural dangers. This is Pacific Drive, the debut title coming from developer and publisher Ironwood Studio. Speed your way through the Olympic exclusion zone, facing anomalies along the road, scrounging around for parts, and upgrading your ride, all while keeping your car in one piece in the face of dangerous radioactive activity of zone storms. Sounds a little bit like Fortnite and their storms. Maybe it's similar, who knows? Dabbling in some roguelite tendencies, you and your ride will zoom back to base, where you'll increase your car's defense and offense capabilities, all to get further in your next run. And eventually, you'll find yourself in the heart of the exclusion zone. Dun dun dun! Slated to release this year, I never thought I'd be interested in a driving game, but this one seems very different from your typical vroom vroom, so let's watch for this one. Feeling in a reading mood? Perseverance Complete Edition is out now, packaging all 3 episodes of this horror and drama visual novel. This game comes to us from developers Titanite Novels and Titanite Games and published by Feardemic. Follow the stories of Karen and Jack in this zombie-infested world, and the way their stories collide in this game based on a series of crime, thriller, and horror visual novels. Also, I wonder if Karen will be like a real-life Karen? Probably not, but that's all I can think of when I hear the name Karen. Anyway. The art was the first thing that drew me into this game, and I think we've got quite a few hungry video game readers in our community. Part 1 is free if you want to try before you buy, which I think is a really smart move for a video game focused mainly on its narrative. So if this is looking interesting to you, download Part 1. It's free. You have no excuse. No excuse! For number 7, we have Justice Sucks Vacuum Massacre, and it has its newest free content update for the wacky and well-reviewed Killer Roomba game. Developer Samurai Punk and publisher Tiny Build are releasing this content update February 16th on all platforms, specifically expanding on the story. And never did I think I would be earnestly interested in a killer vacuum game for more than the memes but here we are. And what shocks me even more is that this is a content update that expands on story. There's a story in the Killer Roomba game and combat. Time to work on my sucking skills. For our next title, 2D platformer and action roguelite Spiritfall releases in Steam Early Access on March 7th from developer and publisher 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐿. Inspired by platform fighters, Spiritfall caught my eye with its hand-drawn art style that feels quite familiar, but I can't really place it. Regardless, it's a beautiful game that's about a warrior that fights divine spirits and along the way upgrades weapons and acquires new skills. There's a demo out now for Steam Next Fest, which is hopefully still live by the time this video goes up, and I'll be sure to give it a try before it's gone. A point and click about the Cold War was not something I thought I needed, but after watching the trailer and reading about the game Split Town, it is seriously on my radar. From developers 𝐬𝐨𝐬𝐿? So sorry, Mot? Just kidding. And 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤𝐿, and publisher All Seeing Eye, Split Town drops us into the life of Leonard Nimby, a former top agent of unknown agency, hunting down their stolen shrink ray from an evil mayor candidate on the night before the election. The stakes are quite high, And also that was a lot of words, all in one. Am I a monster for saying that I'm really more interested in this game for its visual design and Cold War connections? Regardless, I think Split Town is worth keeping your eye on. Want to play casually with some friends? Voodoo Dolls is a tower defense game you can play as either a 4-player online co-op game or single player, and it's developed by Siderift. Launching April 13th, you play as Voodoo Dolls fleeing hell by fighting waves upon waves of hellish fiends. Each doll has unique abilities, weapons, battle tactics as you make your way through 12 different stages. The game boasts a story-based campaign, as well as various difficulty levels and an endless mode, offering significant replayability. I personally have a soft spot for genres that are often exploited in the mobile scene but brought over to Steam because oftentimes it's made into a full-fledged game, no strings attached, no microtransactions. And hopefully this remains the case of this game. Voodoo Dolls has a demo out now for Steam Next Fest, so be sure to try it before it's gone. My second point-and-click offering for this video is much more traditional in its art style, but the promise of a dark family secret and British comedy was all I needed to want to know more. Lucid Dreaming is a point-and-click adventure comedy developed and published by Tall Story Games. It was originally released on Steam in October of last year, but February 28th, it'll be on Nintendo Switch as well. Described by the devs as a love letter to the 90s LucasArts classics, Lucid Dreaming throws us literally in the dreams and nightmares of a little girl, contrasting reality and fantasy. Now, a game I'm very curious and also conflicted about is How to Escape, an upcoming escape simulation game from devs Break First Games and publisher Just for Games. The asymmetrical cooperative gameplay between two players reminds me of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, which is a game I absolutely adore. But also it caught my eye because of the art, because it really reminds me of Hello Neighbor, and that both intrigues me because I think Hello Neighbor has gorgeous art, but gives me some pause because the gameplay definitely wasn't great. But this is a completely different game, so maybe I just need to shut the fuck up and wait and see. Alright y'all, we're approaching the end, I promise, but let's talk about Rusted Moss, a grappling hook Metroidvania, or as they called it, a Grapplevania, so cute, created by FaxDoc, Happy Squared, and Sunny Days. I think the conceit of using a grapple and a gun to platform your way through this delightful pixel art style game is more than enough to give this game a shot, especially since the demo is still out for Steam Next Fest. Pew pew in this 360 aiming twin-stick shooter, swinging around like a less family-friendly Kim Possible. Precision is the name of the game here, so while this may not be my gameplay preference, I'm sure there are many of you frothing at the mouth at the fluid and tight gameplay. And finally, the god among indies, whose unrelenting difficulty, mesmerizing narrator voice, and dark, fantastical Lovecraft-inspired art style has stolen the hearts of indie lovers and mainstream players alike. That's right, I'm talking about Darkest Dungeon 2! Oh, And Darkest Dungeon 2 will finally be out for early access on May 8th. Whee! I played the demo on stream, but whether you watched or not, you need to play this demo and experience the fun, nail-biting combat and drunk as fuck carriage driving. Or maybe I just sucked at it. Gone are the days of a home base where you recruit, heal, and upgrade heroes, and instead welcome the chaotic drive up the mountain in the hardest to control carriage that has ever existed, running over chunks of flesh and random debris on your way to battle encounters, random events, inns to rest, and bickering teammates. I could go on and on, but for your sake, I'll just say it does everything I personally hope for in a sequel, taking the core of what made the game interesting and fun, and giving it a fresh approach. Darkest Dungeon is sure to create many long and dramatic gaming sessions. Alright, congrats y'all, we made it! If you're still here, fuck yeah, you're a real indie gaming lover, or you're driving to work and listening to this, both is fine, I love you regardless. Now, let's do a quick breakdown of the videos featured on the channel this week. Wait, never mind, we just had one video. A review of the Redress of Myra. Redress? I forgot how our lovely reviewer pronounced it, but apparently it is a generic stinker to our newest cohort, Barely Magic Mike. Also, he wanted to let you know that he loves bullet hell games and it's the only thing he wants to review ever again. No, I'm definitely not being facetious. Besides that, as per usual, we had a metric fuckton of streams, 3 of which I did focused solely on the Steam and Next Fest demos. And I would have done more if it weren't for my pesky fleshy body. Damn you! Lex Noyle had a question for me. What has been your favorite part of the I Dream of Indie crew? It's a great question. I would say I love everything and it's perfect. And I'm definitely not saying that because my boss edits these videos. But honestly, having a community of fellow indie gamers that are chill and kind and loving has been my favorite part because honestly, again, without I Dream of Indie, I never would have made the connections I've made with so many people today. It's rare to find people, I think, who are so earnestly interested in indie devs and just unique, cool games they've never heard before. So that's my favorite part. All right, sappy part is over, and before I let you go, I've got your question for the week. What's your favorite sex position? Personally, I'm a fan of the Magikarp, mostly sedentary, but occasionally you flop to let your partner know that you're still alive. And for the squares in the chat, well, not the chat, the comments, you can tell me how much you love and cherish your Lord and Savior, the great flying spaghetti monster. Specifically in a quatrain. Okay, bye!